I'm getting everything. Oh, you can see I've got GIMP here with my overlay for my weekly stream. Oh no, Bob, where'd you go? Yeah, in a second here. So, I'm gonna stream some Bob Ross today because I'm not working. It's winter break for me, and let's see here. I gotta find it.
Go, and we want water.
All right. Oh, why are you doing this to me? There it is.
Son of a gun. Can you?
Son of a gun. Let me get my OBS set up a little bit better here. Move down. Oh, that's much nicer. Okay. Here we go. So, here we are. I'm gonna stream some Bob Ross. I've already watched this episode. He's answering questions, and then his son is painting a mountain with some happy trees and some happy clouds and a lake kind of scene. It's pretty easy. He talks about using this magic white thing, which I've never really watched Bob Ross before. He's just an icon, and magic white is a thing that he invented to do wet on wet painting. So instead of magic white, I just mixed a lot of linseed oil with titanium white, and then already prepped my canvas with just the oil based background. I'm hoping it doesn't kill it, but this is kind of a playful thing. The canvas was given to me by a friend of mine before she left Korea this week, so I figured, well, why might I use it? So let's see how this goes.
You believe it? Here we are on the last show of the series. You know, when we did the first series, at the end of it, we had my son Steve come in and read us some questions, and we devoted the whole show to a question and answer period.
Questions
and
and
in
answers.
that show, we tried to show people the way to correct the most common problem areas. So I thought we'd do that again today. Only this time, I'm going to take life easy. I'm going to read the questions, and I'm going to
He
make my
does. He
son
sits
Steve
there the whole
paint.
time and just reads questions.
So,
but
I'd like to introduce
it's kind
you
of funny
today
because you
to
can
my son,
tell that
Steve.
he definitely
Steve,
picked
glad to have you with us.
questions
Well, thanks,
that
Dad.
they could turn
Okay,
into
let's
a
get
painting.
right in here
It's really nice.
maybe we can get started. First question. Dear Bob, what is meant by use crisscross strokes to make the sky? Do you use crisscross strokes to make the water also? Okay, well, let's just go right up here to the canvas, and I'll try to show you. Okay, Steve, float a little blue into your brush. What do you got there, a little phthalo blue?
Phthalo blue.
Okay.
All right, I got phthalo blue
Now,
too.
Let's go right up to the canvas. There we go. And as you notice, he's using both sides of the brushes. And he's just making little
My brush
X's
isn't as big as
back and
theirs.
forth. By using both sides of the brush, we assure an even distribution of color. The canvas has already been covered with magic white, so it's picking that up, and automatically
Usually
as
I
it goes down
paint
toward the horizon,
flat
it gets lighter
on
in
my
value. Now, Steve, the
countertop
other
over
part
here
of the question
because I
is, do you
don't
use
have
crisscross strokes to make the water?
my
No, we do
own
not. There
easel.
we use strokes that come from the outside in. Steve, why don't we make a little bit of water there? Just come from the
All
outside
right,
in.
slow down there, Bob and Steve.
Okay, he's going to add a little bit of phthalo green to his color, just a tiny bit.
Phthalo
Now.
green. Hold on. Let me get paint down here. See, these guys know exactly what they're doing. They're so quick. All right, phthalo green. Well, I don't have phthalo green. So let's see what color that looks like.
Pull from the outside in. There we go. And we want water to be level if it's still water.
Oh, it's kind of like a... So I'm going to use This is called Verdant Hue. And I love wet on wet painting. I've done quite a few wet on wet paint. Well, a few wet on wet paintings this year where you finish it all in a day. It's really kind of fun. So I'm gonna do like one half of the brush green, and then.
So by coming from the outside in, that happens automatically. And if you leave a little area open in the center when he pulls from the other side, when the painting's finished, that'll look like a sheen of light going across the water. There we go. Now, Steve, why don't you take a clean brush and just blend all that together for us, and we'll see how that looks. Okay, now he's just using a clean, dry brush, still using a little crisscross strokes, and blending the sky together.
Well, clean, dry brush. I don't have a clean, dry brush, so I gotta wash my brush. I keep a dirty towel. A towel that I've just contributed to the paint gods. It's really dirty. Okay. And then he...
Blend it to any degree that you want now. When you're doing this at home, you don't want to kill all the little actions that happen up here in the sky. Just blend it to about like he has it now. On the water, all we do is take and use very long strokes and go all the way across it, just gently. We don't want to lose that light area in the center, but you can bring it together. That's
I think mine is a lot darker than
See
his.
how that's coming right together?
A lot more paint.
Okay. Well, let's go right along here and go to the next question.
Oh,
Now,
man,
also,
you guys
if
are
there's any
quick.
questions that we don't answer during this show, drop us a line. We'll be glad to try to answer almost any question that you can come up with, as long as it's not too...
Look at that, I've already got that paint on my hands from doing this. He didn't really explain what the hashing effect is for. Like, what's the purpose of the hashing effect? I think that maybe I didn't put quite enough whitewash on the canvas before I started. It's okay. It's getting there. Oh, my paint's in my painting's in my paint. It's okay. Almost blended here on the sky. There's an art store near my house here. It's like a stationery store slash art supply store, and they sell canvases and all sorts of stuff. And I walked over there this morning after I watched this video to see exactly what I needed. And because I know Bob uses palette knife a lot, and I have a couple of palette knives, but there's lots of different kinds of palette knives. So I got the palette knife, I got a larger brush because I usually don't work with such a huge brush. And then I was like, oh, I think I got everything I need. Cool. Come back home, start watching the video. I don't have a fan brush, so he's gonna use the fan brush later. Oh, see, this is not blending quite as much as I want it to. So I'm gonna get a little linseed oil out here. Actually, where'd I put that? This will work. There you go. Of course, mine's not going to be nearly as good as his. I'm not really very good at painting landscapes. I'm usually like to paint portraits and I've done a couple of animals this year for fun. So usually I do living things. I usually don't do inanimate objects and whatnot. Alright. Get my brush cleaned out here. Not nearly as nice as what Steve's got going on
Dear
in
Bob,
the show here.
how do you make those fluffy little clouds using the fan brush?
Right.
Those really are nice clouds, and let's see if we can get Steve to demonstrate once again how to make some
Yeah,
clouds.
let's make some clouds.
So Steve, why don't you load your fan brush, hold your palette over here so we can see it, and let's just load it full of, there you are. See how full he's getting this? A lot of titanium white.
A lot of titanium white.
Okay, good. Now, use just the corner of the brush. There, see how he's using just the corner? And all you're worried about is a nice top. See, why don't you put one more little cloud over here on the right side? And clouds need friends, too. There
Clouds
we go.
need friends, too.
And all you're looking for is a basic shape at this period. Don't worry about it too much. Okay, now with a large brush, we can just blend the bottom of it out a little bit. There. Just the corner of the brush. Don't use too much of the brush. And you make little tiny circles. Little tiny circles. And then fluff it up and hypnotize it. See how simple that is?
All right, one more time.
Okay, let's do the other one here.
Yeah. Let's,
And you can blend it to any degree that you
Oh,
want.
that's too far.
There. See how full he's getting this?
yeah, I got my
A lot of
pretty full, too.
titanium white. Okay, good. Now, use just the corner of the brush.
All right.
There. See how he's using just the corner? And all you're worried about is a nice top. See, why don't you put one more little cloud over here on the right side? And clouds need friends, too. There we go. And all you're looking for is a basic shape at this period. Don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, you get so
Okay,
it's
now with a
really
large
thick on the
brush,
top to.
we can just blend the bottom of it out a little bit.
Okay.
There. Just the corner of the brush. Don't use too much of the brush. And you make little tiny circles. Little tiny circles.
I'm gonna
And
make
then
some
fluff it
friends
up.
here.
And hypnotize it. See how simple that is? Okay, let's do the other one
Kinda.
here.
Yeah.
Using just the corner of the brush, little tiny circles. Just blend the bottom of it out. Okay, now fluff it up and hypnotize it.
All right, I gotta fluff
there,
it up and hypnotize
super,
it.
Steve.
Hang on.
Thank you. All right, let's see
Wait,
here.
Bob.
What's
Wait for me. I've still got a lot of blue in my 1-inch brush here, or 1.5 inch. This is the problem with watching stuff from the States and then you live in Asia. Yeah, whatever, Tom says that he likes Bob's hair better than mine. Hey, I got the top knot thing going on today. Give me a break. Alright, fluff it up. This is not working. Okay, that's better. I'm fluffing it. I'm nervous. I think there's a meteorologist watching me right now. There we go. I got paint all over my hands. Should get my water cup away from my paint. Show me how to hypnotize it again.
just the corner of the brush. Don't use too much of the brush. And you make little tiny circles. Little tiny circles. And then fluff it up and hypnotize it.
Ah, okay. I don't know what I'm doing here. Alright. I feel like my canvas isn't wet enough. I wish I could like spray it down with something. There you go. Ah, that's better. Here we go. I'm pretty happy with those clouds. Alright.
See how simple that is? Okay, let's do the other one here. Using just the corner of the brush.
Okay.
Little tiny circles.
We got clouds.
Snow on the mountain. So maybe we can go back to the canvas and get Steve to drop us a little basic mountain shape on here. We can actually see the highlight happening close up. Steve, what color did you use there to make your basic mountain?
Blue, brown, and alizarin crimson.
Blue, brown, and blah, 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 blah. Alright. Well, I've got some blue on my canvas already. Or on my palette. So, and he's gonna paint it with a palette knife, I think. Is he using a palette knife? I can't tell. This is ancient. I've got blue, brown, and crimson. Alright, here's some brown. He didn't say which blue, so we're gonna stick with phthalo. A little bit of red here. This is a little weird. I've never used a paper palette before, but it's probably easier cleanup. At least I hope it's easier cleanup. Alright, what you gonna do here?
There we go.
Yep,
and you
that's
use
right.
very, very firm pressure when you're putting this basic shape on. Really, really push it into the fabric. And all you're worried about is just the nice top edges. You could care less what's happening underneath.
Alright. Oh.
Okay. Now, let's take the big brush, and we can just blend that right out.
Alright. We're gonna do something very similar to what he's doing here. How far up did he go? Alright, right in the middle. I'm gonna offset my central peak because I don't want it to be right in the middle. I think it'd be a little weird. Okay. Deep into the canvas is what they were saying, so I'm like scraping here. I wonder if you can hear it. Alright, cool.
Okay. What Steve's doing there is scraping all the excess paint off. The less paint you have, the better.
Less.
Now we're just pulling that mountain out. This does two things when you pull it out. It removes more of the excess paint, makes the next step easier, and it allows the mountain to blend as it goes down. Mountains are always more distinct at the top than they are at the bottom, if you can see the entire mountain. Good, okay. Let's use a little titanium white there, Steve, and I think that'll show up contrast better. Okay, turn your knife over and let us take a close look at it here. And let's see what you have in way of paint. Sort of rotate it a little bit so we can see it good. See, it has just a little paint right on the edge there. Okay? Now, just barely touch. Now here's where the problem happens. People use too much pressure. Use absolutely no pressure.
Absolutely no?
All it is just the weight of the knife.
Right, absolutely no.
And
This is going to be hard. I've never done this before. We'll see how this goes.
in your mind, think where light would strike the mountain. There, looks like he's going to have a little peak back in the background. And this one's going to come all the way through. There, good. We'll have some character in this mountain. You know what Steve's doing that? I'll tell you a little bit about him because I don't think he'll tell you. Steve's 18 years old. He travels all around the country with me, teaching this fantastic method of painting. He's also a black belt in karate. So it's good to have some protection with you. Okay, now he's mixing up a shadow color. He's using a little bit of blue and...
Okay, let's try this. Alright. I really am like barely touching it. Okay. Well, there we go. I'm gonna let this one, it's gonna be nice and long. I'm gonna fake my peak a little bit here. Here we go. Okay. And then a little bit over here. I've definitely got too much going on here, so I'm going to try to scrape it down a little bit. That's okay. Obviously mine doesn't look the same as Steve's. That's okay. Alright. Cool. And then he's making a shadow color here, which I don't know why they call it shadows.
White.
They're more like midtones.
Just Prussian blue and white. Now, one of the big things here, when you start doing your mountains, you have to make almighty decisions. This little
Almighty.
peak here, is it in the background, Steve?
Yes.
The little one?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So we'll just push him right into the back. Oh, you're going to make them all in the
Yeah, I'm going to
back.
make them all in the background.
Okay. It's fantastic that you can change your mind right in midstream like this.
Yeah.
Now, notice the angles
I'm
here.
gonna make my almighty decision
Angles
here
are
too.
very, very important. There we go. Okay. good.
So it's kind of tricky
Let
here
me
because
shadow
at the
on that
first,
little
at the
peak.
beginning, you think that this peak is in the background, but it's actually in the foreground, which I think is really kind of fun to see. You can see how much you can change it just based on what you decide to do with it. So this is a little hard because of the direction of the angle of my knife. I'm actually going to turn it over so I can stroke upwards. Oh, I got paint on my curtains. I knew that was going to happen today. All right. Let's see here. Oh, I'm doing it in the wrong direction. That's okay. We'll just fix it. change the directions of the strokes here a little bit. There we go. That's okay. Paint. Okay. There. I think that's kind of what we're looking for right here. Right. Cool. Can probably use a little more white in
If
my
you wanted to
mountains
create
here.
a little mist there, we'll get Steve to wash
I'm
the
gonna
brush
use my
real quick
smaller
and
palette knife.
show you how to create a little bit of mist. Okay. Now, I'm in a dangerous position here. He's going to get me. Okay. Now, when you create this mist, all you do is just barely tap. Just gently, gently tap. There. And always follow the angles in your
Yeah,
mountain.
that's better. I like that.
Left upward, this takes out the tap marks and softens, creates the nice misty areas. Beautiful, Steve. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, well, let's go to the next question here.
Okay.
The next
I gotta
question
mystify
is,
it.
just barely tap.
Yeah, he's just using a... I gotta clean my brush again. Alrighty, let's give this a little bit of love here. He says tap, so I'm tapping. Is he doing it on the whole thing? Let's see.
Gently, gently tap. There.
Nope.
And always follow the angles in your mountain. Left upward, this takes out the tap marks and softens, creates the nice
Okay.
misty areas.
Well, mine's gonna be a lot more brown than his, as it looks like. Let's see if I can add a little more shadow here and not get more paint on my curtains like a pro. I'm okay with that though. Oh yeah, that's okay. Man, if you're not covered in paint by the time you're done painting, you're not doing it right. Alright. See? I have so much paint on my hands. That's what I get for not having an easel. Alright.
Beautiful, Steve.
What's the next
Absolutely
question?
beautiful. Okay, well, let's go to the next question
I think the next thing they're going to do is they're going to make
question is, I'm having trouble making the little foothills that you have.
yeah.
This also
Alright,
is a pretty
foothills.
common problem, and we'll try to show you right here how to do it. The first thing you need to do is mix you up some color, and I think Steve's going to use a 1-inch brush today to demonstrate this.
Okay.
But you could do it with a fan brush, the 2.5-inch brush, or the 1-inch brush.
I'm gonna go smaller
makes you
here. I
happy.
usually
So
don't
let's
use
watch
such
Steve.
huge brushes when I paint because I usually do finer paintings.
Steve's mixing up a, what are you mixing there, Steve?
Blue, brown, and white.
Blue, brown,
and white.
Okay.
All right, before Steve gets out of control here, let's get my own stuff together here. Here's some brown. We're gonna stick with phthalo blue. Maybe a little more. And I still have some white on my paper here. And I like to mix colors. He's mixing it with his brush, but sometimes it's better to mix it with a palette brush if you... They have tons and tons of paintbrushes and stuff on their set. But mixing with your brush means you got paint all over your brush. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's annoying. Because then you have to wash it if you don't want paint all over it. This is a good color. I like it. It's a nice... like steel blue color here. Okay.
On the 1-inch brush, and you notice he's just mixing it on the brush. That way you
Yeah.
have a multitude of color happening on the brush. Okay, now maybe we can
okay
get a
with it
close-up
not being
here
like
and
that,
watch what
though.
he does. He's just barely tapping the canvas and making a basic shape.
Alright.
There. And put some character in your foothills. Don't have them just come straight across. Notice all the little hills and bumps and valleys he's got in there. It makes your painting a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Super. Okay, here he's just laying in his basic color. And this is just tapping. All he's doing is tapping. There's several different ways to make it. You can use the brush vertically and pull downward, and it makes very nice foothills also. Okay, now he's going to lift gently up, make it look like little trees maybe. That's wee.
I'm excited to make little trees, but I need more. My paint appears to be a little bit heavier than his is. So I'm going to add a little bit of linseed oil here. Just a little bit. Just a couple of drops. Now I will mix it using my brush. There we go. Okay. And he doesn't make this go all the way across. Because they're gonna cover up this whole section here with some trees and some bushes and yeah. So. Alright, tappy tappy. I don't like that. There we go. I like that. Okay, I'm nervous about doing this. Hopefully I don't mess it up and I don't have like weird looking stuff here. Does he use the same brush or does he use a fresh brush?
Back in the distance somewhere.
Let's see.
Interesting. Super. Okay, here he's just laying in his basic color. And this is just tapping. All he's doing is tapping. There's several different ways to make it. You can use the brush vertically and pull downward, and it makes very nice foothills also. Okay, now he's going to lift gently up, make it look like little trees maybe. That's way back in the distance.
I'm going to use the fan brush for this because I'm worried about just like making a straight line up because this brush isn't very jagged on the edges. I had to wash my fan brush out here. Right. Alright, see. Oh yeah, there they are. I'll bring the canvas up close in a second so you can see my happy trees in the distance. Rub it out here a little bit. What's fun about painting is most of it's just an illusion. It's all about making things look completely different. Alright. You can see my trees, they especially look nice over here. Not so much in the middle, but I'm okay with that. Okay.
Somewhere. Very soft and quiet.
And then I think Steve's gonna
When you
make
do this,
darker
use very,
foothills in the
very
beginning,
short
in the
little
front
strokes.
too.
And do it in layers. Notice how he's working downward.
Yeah, I think I want to do more too. Just a little bit more.
Good. Very, very nice. Okay, Steve, while you have that going, well, you're not quite finished yet, I guess.
No, I think I'll drop one more row in.
Okay, good. That'll show us how to create depth in the foothills. Now, what he's doing is darkening the color a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
As these little foothills get closer to you, allow them to get darker, and that helps create the illusion of distance in your painting. Okay, well, what'd you add? A little bit more brown and blue in there?
Just a little bit more of both.
Okay, good. All right. Now, while he's got color on the brush, he could add a little bit underneath, just a tiny bit, and that'll help create reflections. We might as well go ahead and put some beautiful reflections in there while we have it. Now, with a large brush, we're going to take and pull those reflections down, just there. Now, when you're pulling these reflections down, be sure you go straight down with them. It will disturb you terribly if you take it and put them in an angle. Okay, pull straight down, and then very gently go across. And that'll create the illusion of water. Okay, super. Let's take a look at the next question we have here.
Let's calm down. Chill. Alright. I'm almost there. There you go. Alright. Let's take a look at them do this other thing better. A little bit.
A little bit underneath, just a tiny bit, and that'll help create reflections. We might as well go ahead and put some beautiful reflections in there while we have it. Now, with a large brush,
See, he barely does anything here. He just kind of like comes in here a little bit. Oh, I'm kind of covering up what I'm doing here. Sorry, guys. Where did you? And of course, it's bigger on this side. I'm kind of coming kind of close to the. And I noticed that they leave a line here.
we're going to take and pull those reflections down, just there.
Okay.
Now, when you're pulling these reflections down, be sure you go straight down with them. It will disturb you terribly if you take it and put them in an angle.
It will
pull
disturb
straight
you terribly.
down, and then very gently go across. And that'll create the illusion of water.
Okay.
Okay, super. Let's take a look at the next question.
Oh, this is nice. I've never done this part before. Okay. Very
Have here.
nice.
Dear Bob, I can't seem to make water lines with a palette knife. Now this seems to give a lot of people trouble, and I think the first thing you should do is put the magic white on the palette. Don't try to just dip your knife in the can. If you do that and touch your canvas, you're going to have a line that's 1/4 of an inch thick, and it's probably going to be runny. So put a little bit of the magic white on your palette and pull it out as flat as you possibly can get it. Just really mash it hard so it's very thin on the palette. And then take the knife and sort of just cut across. And maybe we can get Steve to demonstrate here. Okay, Steve. Now, Steve's mixed a little bit of brown with it. Now, just pull the knife across.
Okay,
Very good.
I'm doing that too. I'll
Right,
show
now
you
show
guys
us how to
that.
make a water line.
Put a little bit of brown on there.
Are you using quite a bit of pressure here?
Yes, just like you're trying to cut a hole through the canvas.
Just really cut it in.
Yep.
Saw it in there.
Okay, so this is an interesting effect. I've got my other, this is my trash palette. It's just a plain white one. And I don't have magic white, so it's titanium white that I used earlier. And then I added a lot of linseed oil to it. And I'm doing that kind of now. And then he's like, man, I've never seen this. How does
And
he
you
do
can make
that?
this water line go anywhere you want it. You can go up, down, sideways, crossways. The thing is, if it's still water, these lines need to be basically straight, or your water will run right out of your painting. And it will really bother you when you look at this painting later on.
Okay, so I gotta make
Very nice.
straight,
Very
scrapey lines. Like I'm trying to cut my canvas here. Alright. Got a glob of green paint here that I want to get my hands in. Here we go. I don't think I got enough paint on here, man. Yep, trying to saw my painting in half here. Fine. It looks okay. Let's try this here. That's better. I want to scrape it a little bit. There you go. My phone's buzzing. Hey, Tabasco Dan. See, I like how this is looking over here. This is kind of coming out okay. I'm sure you guys can't see me doing that. This is a hard technique. No wonder people are writing Bob asking him how to do it. That's better. Just kind of letting the edge of the knife blend it for me. That's better. This is hard because this is kind of a cheap canvas, and there's the wood plank behind this edge right here is making it hard to do this technique because it's not pulled tight. There we go. That's okay. Hello, Mr. Pokemon. Let's see what we're going to do next.
Okay, let's go to the next one here. Well, this one you'll like, Steve. It says, Dear Bob, can you show me how to make an evergreen tree using the fan brush?
It's time for happy trees.
Now, evergreen trees can be made with a 2.5-inch brush, the 1-inch brush, or the fan brush. All three work equally well. So you try them all, and you find one that's very comfortable to you, and that's the one I recommend you use.
Yep.
The fan brush will give you a little bit more detail if you're looking for a lot of little limbs on your tree. So let's see if we can get Steve to make us one here. Steve, what color are you going to use to make your evergreen?
Using a little bit of sap green, Van Dyke brown, and a little bit of Prussian blue.
All right. Sap green. Oh, I have sap green. Goodness. Thank goodness. I'm going to switch my paper palette out here. Because we're going to be using a bunch of different colors now. Get this out of my way. Like I said earlier, I'm not much of a landscape painter, so this is kind of a change in comfort zones for me. Where's that tape? Oh, there it is. Thank you. Oh yeah, the cleanup later today is going to be fun. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got blue on my curtains right here. Hey, Panda Bear. Okay, I need sap green. Did he say phthalo blue?
Okay, that ought to make us a you use. The fan brush will give you a little bit more detail if you're looking for a lot of little limbs on your tree.
It's Yora Paints.
Let's see if we can get Steve to make us one here. Steve, what color are you going to use to make your evergreen?
Using a little bit of sap green, Van Dyke brown, and a little bit of Prussian blue.
Prussian blue.
Okay,
Alright, I don't have Van Dyke brown.
Tree.
But I've got just burnt umber, which is, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I wish they would show how exactly how he's mixing this on the canvas here, or on the palette. That's okay. Maybe they'll show it in a bit. You don't need a lot of Prussian blue. It's a pretty heavy color.
I want it to look black.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Let's go right up here. And notice he starts with just a center line, and then just using the corner of the brush, just sort of work back and forth. There.
Well, that's good, Mr. Pokemon, that you can draw Pokemon, because not everybody can draw Pokemon. I can't draw Pokemon. Not unless I'm looking at a picture of a Pokemon and then try to copy it. Alright. Just a little bit of this blue in here. I feel like my lighting's not as good as it is in the show. Alright. He does a center line. Alright, let's see here. Oh, that got really big really quick. I'm going to use a different thing. I'm not as skilled with this brush. Use a thin brush here. It's okay.
That's basically how we make a tree. Now you can add a little more to it, you can take away from it. This is your tree, so you have...
It's my tree. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna straight up pick up my canvas here. And do it like this. Oh, this is a lot harder than he makes it look. Trading sides. I'm just not gonna beat myself up if my tree does not look like Steve's tree. Let's just go with that. Kind of let it go off the side of the canvas here. This means I can't be grabbing my canvas by the side here. You can see all these fingerprints from when I did the water. Oh yeah. Here we go. Try to cover up my fingerprints here. Need a little more paint. Right, and then later this whole bottom part here is going to become some bushes. So, right. Now Bob's going to tell us
to make almighty decisions.
That
and you know, Steve, why don't we put another one right beside him? Trees get lonely too.
That trees get lonely.
We got to give
Bob
him a
tells
little
us that
friend there.
trees get lonely.
Make this one a little bit.
Maybe a leaning one.
All right.
Right. How about a
Yeah,
leaning one
maybe
so
when
that we
tree
can
was
cover up
just a
that my
little baby,
mountains aren't
somebody
finished
stepped
over
on him
here.
while he was down there fishing for that big trout, and he's got a little crook in his back. Very nice, Steve. Okay. Let's go right on in here and see what the next question is. Dear Bob, can you show me how to highlight my trees and bushes? I can't make the paint stick to the canvas. Once again, a very common problem, and we've said it over and
When
over
I
in this
watched
series.
this the first
You
time,
need to
he
start
said
with a
that
paint that is firm as you can find. It should be very, very firm and dry. A good way to test your paint is to take the cap off and squeeze the paint. It should stand about that high above the tube.
yeah.
Roughly 3/4 of an
He
inch.
talks about this. I was
If
a
it
little
won't
worried
stand
that
up
maybe
by
my
itself
paint
like
wouldn't be
that,
that
chances
firm,
are
but it
it's
kinda
probably
just
too
depends
thin
on the
for this
color, to
technique.
tell you the truth.
So
Like,
test your paint. There should be no oil running out of it. It should be a very dry, firm paint. Now, if we start with a very firm paint, then it's much easier to put highlights on. Because a thin paint, we can stick to a thick paint. But you can't reverse that. You have to start with a very firm paint. Okay. Let's see if we can get Steve to make us some little bushes here. He's already got ahead
I
of us.
just took the liberty to go ahead and do it.
Well, all right. He's using the 2.5-inch brush. It would also work with a 1-inch brush. And we just drop in some basic shapes here. Steve, well, you got all that on your brush. Why don't you throw some color in the water, and we'll show them how to make reflections,
All
too.
right.
There. And all we've done is just drop the same basic shape right into the water. Good. What color did you use on that?
A little bit of sap green and Prussian blue.
Sap green and Prussian blue. Very dark, very nice color. Okay, you're going to take your brush and pull those reflections down just a little bit. Now watch what happens when he does this. Good.
oh, this
Now
brush
keep them
is
on the
just
end
not,
smaller
it's too stiff.
so they match what's above
That's
it.
why I hardly ever use it.
Okay. Let him clean the brush up here, and we'll get ready to go right along.
All right, we're going to stop
Now-
the video right here so that I can catch up. Yeah, we're going to highlight this tree, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be perfectly okay. Alright, I'm going to throw some more. And I'm going to kind of try to hide how my inside is a little bit not as good as I want it to be here. Alright. Stay there. Stay. Clearly I need to get myself an easel.
Hey, I'm fixing to get splashed again. All right. So if you notice me having blue freckles from now on, you'll know why. Now here he's just making a horizontal stroke across to give it a watery appearance.
Oh, he's doing that.
Why don't you drop us a few little trunks in some of those trees there, Steve?
Okay.
And for that, we'll use the palette knife, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, and watch how he just drops them in.
Yeah, I want to drop him in too, but I'm behind. See, I washed my brush and I've got to do the reflections down here. So this is the same thing we did up here with the foothills, is we're going to do it again down here. Just kind of add. See, my canvas is already getting a little bit dry. It's crazy. With oil colors, it dries slow, which is what I like about it. Come on, brush, you and me, we're gonna fight. Do what I want. There we go. Just scrub straight in here. Okay. This brush. Should paint with fingers. There you go. Alright, don't overdo it. Alright, Mr. Pokemon, thanks for stopping by. Have a good day. Palette knife. I'm gonna use my little one here.
There.
Alright, stickies.
And you touch and just pull slightly to one side. There you go. Put some in the evergreens too, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you want to highlight these little tree trunks, we use a little brown and white. And just put a little bit of highlight on it. Now, our mountain tells us in this painting the light's coming from the right side. So we need to highlight the right side of the trunks also.
Oh, yeah.
Once you put that first stroke in the mountain, you've just determined where your light's coming from. Everything else in this painting.
I'm not doing a very good
Okay,
job.
now
with
the other
stick
part of the
making.
question was is highlighting these. So why don't we use a 1-inch brush and let's show them real close here how to put some highlights on. Start with a little bit of magic white. That thins the paint down. And what are you using there, Steve?
Going into a little bit of yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre, okay. And notice the amount of paint he's loading
having
into the brush.
unsuccessful stick
A
making.
lot of paint in the brush. Steve, why don't you hold the brush right up here against this dark area and let's show them real close what the brush looks like. Good. Look at the amount of paint in there. It's very, very full. Okay. Start at the very top because you want that to be the brightest part of your bush or tree. And begin laying
This
in
is
your
straight
highlight.
into my realm of,
And you need
of
little
making
patterns in
extremely
there.
heavy brush strokes, which
Don't
I
just
love
throw
to
them in
do.
at random. Now with the color that you pick up on your brush, you can go back through the yellows that he's using and sort of change it a little bit. Maybe, okay, what are we going to do here? Right
Maybe
there.
drop a bush over here.
Dropping bushes like he's dropping beets.
Isn't that a beauty? Okay, why don't you add a little sap green to that and let's see what we get.
I'm gonna have to go back. I know he says he
Okay, a
used
little
yellow
more
ochre, but I
magic
don't know
white
what other colors
and
he's
the paint
using.
down.
Burnt umber
All right.
to make that nice
which one you
orangey
gonna do
yellow
now?
color.
Oh, probably the one on the end.
In my opinion, yellow ochre
Once
is one
again,
of
go slightly
the
above the dark. You don't want the
ugliest
shadows on
colors
top of the
in
bush.
the painting world, but it's like the most useful.
Okay, maybe try.
Alright.
Why? And just pull slightly. Start with a little bit of magic white. That thins the paint.
Oh, yeah. I didn't make any highlights. Okay. Yellow ochre. In case you guys are curious, I use a nice set of Winsor Newton paints that someone bought for me this year. Alright, I'm mixing up a little bit of highlight here for my tree stickies. Alright, let's not screw this up. We're gonna go from top to bottom. This is like the ever so slight addition of color here. Yeah, yellow ochre, it just like... Sometimes I feel like it's better to use as a lightning color than white because of the way that it looks, and it's really useful for mixing with brown to make brown look lighter without making brown suddenly look like tan. And it's also a really important color to use with if you're painting people, because people are surprisingly not pink. So I only added like a very faint amount in there. I hope that the color isn't too terrible from my camera. Okay.
Down. And what are you using there, Steve?
Going into a little bit of yellow ochre.
Yellow ochre, okay.
This is just straight
And
yellow
notice the
ochre.
amount of paint he's loading into the brush. A lot of paint in the brush. Steve, why don't you hold the brush right up here against this dark area and let's show him real close what the brush looks like.
Yeah, just straight
Good.
yellow ochre.
Look at the
Right.
amount of paint in there. It's very, very full. Okay. Start at the very top because you want that to be the brightest part of your bush or tree. And begin laying in your highlight. And you need
Oh, he's
little
got like a
patterns in
tree
there.
here. Oh, that's
No,
okay.
just
I
throw
don't
them in
have
at
tree.
random. Now with the color that you pick up on your brush, you can go back through the yellows that he's using and sort of change it a little bit. Maybe, okay, what are we going to do here? Right
Maybe
there.
drop a bush over here.
Good. Isn't that a beauty? Okay, why don't you add a little sap green to that and let's see
He's
what
got,
we get.
it's good to have a lot of paint on the brush so that you can...
Okay, a little more of the magic white to thin
No,
the paint
no,
down.
I'm just not going to make a big tree.
Okay, which one are you going to do now?
Oh, probably the one on the end.
There. Once again, go slightly above the dark. You don't want any shadows on top of the bush.
Okay, maybe try something
mine's
different.
Kind of not coming out
Why
as
don't
good.
you put us a couple more little bushes in there and let us see close up, and we'll go right along here.
That's okay.
Maybe one with a little bit of orange in it.
Okay. Very nice. And notice how he's layering these bushes. This is what creates the depth in a painting. It's most important that you layer these
Yeah,
bushes.
happy accidents. I'm getting a little brown in
There
here,
we
but it
go.
looks nice.
Now, why don't you take a little of that same color and reflect
Kind
it
of
right
like
into
to have
the water,
the
Steve.
leaves
Okay.
kind of floating magically in
And
the
here
water.
you just reverse the brush and just put a basic bush tree right down into the water.
Yeah, more happy trees. I need
Very
more yellow
gently.
ochre.
You don't have to use much pressure here. Good.
Happy bushes, man. We're having happy little bushes, El Grifo.
Why, this son of a gun's quite a painter. I better watch out or he'll be on TV and I'll be home by myself. All
He is on
right.
TV.
Now, we can take a large brush and pull down very gently. 3 hairs and some air.
3
There.
hairs and some air.
There we go. Now just go across in a gentle horizontal stroke, and it creates the illusion of reflections that fast.
Yeah,
That
I
is
gotta
it.
do.
Okay. Another problem that people run into quite frequently is putting land in.
Oh, we're
So I'm
gonna
have
let me
Steve take a little
finish
bit of
my
Van
thing
Dyke
before you
brown.
start adding land there, Bob. All right. I gotta make sure I put my water stuff in the right place here. Just a little bit here and there. Don't want to overdo it. Oh, I overdid it. Okay. Straight down. Oh, see, it's a little much. I'm gonna scrape that out. And then blend it again. That's better. It's very gentle. I'm not sure how I feel about this area right here. It's kind of become a bit of a yellow mess. It's okay. It's only my first Bob Ross painting. I'm cleaning my brush. That's what that is. Getting the yellow out of it. That's better. Alright. We're gonna make land. Bob said let there be land, so there will be land.
On the palette knife and show you how to lay some land underneath this.
Yeah.
Okay, there he goes. We've got a little bit of brown. He starts at the small end, just barely touching.
Straight up
Notice
brown,
how he
okay.
follows the angles here, the lay of the land. That's very, very important that you follow the lay of the land.
Yep.
And let it get larger as it goes back. And this will cause you to look into the painting. It leads the eye into the painting when you're looking at it.
So I got my palette knife.
Okay. All
And
right,
I'm
Steve, why
gonna-
don't you take a little brown and white and make us a little highlight there so this stands out a little better.
I'm letting quite a bit on the edge so
What
that it
color
will
did you use
catch.
for your highlighter?
Just a little bit of brown, a little bit of blue, and some white.
That was Van Dyke brown, I assume.
Yep.
Okay. Now, to sort of clean this up a little bit and straighten the bottom out and to separate it, we'll use a little bit more of the magic white and make us a little water line underneath it. Okay, remember how we loaded? We just cut through it. And Steve's got a little magic white. It has a little brown in it. There.
This is hard. I have the wrong kind of
Then
palette
paint
knife
will flow off your knife.
compared to what he's using there.
And as he said earlier, you push very hard. You really, really just act like you're trying to cut a hole right through the canvas.
I'm not ready to cut holes in my canvas yet.
Okay. Good. Okay, Steve,
There
why
we
don't you
go.
run a few bushes down that bank
Okay.
just to clean up that nice straight edge.
Okay.
And I think you turned out a beautiful little painting here, just showing the answers to the questions.
Well,
There we go.
zoom back in so I can see what the heck he's doing. Oh, okay.
Beautiful. That breaks
We
up that
gotta-
long straight edge, makes it a little more pleasing to the eye. Now, with the clean point of the knife, we can just cut in a few little sticks and bushes. So
Yeah, we're gonna do that in a second. I gotta add highlights here. I think he used this color. I'm gonna use my little palette knife. I like it better. I'll just transfer the color into my smaller palette knife. And just got some quite big chunks of paint here on this. That's okay. did he do before? I go back. Sorry.
Just act like you try a little bit and straighten the bottom out. And to separate it, we'll use a little bit more of the magic white and make us a little water line underneath it. The lay of the land.
Okay.
That's very, very important that you follow the lay of the land. And let it get larger as it goes back. And this'll cause you to look into the painting. It leads the eye into the painting when you're looking at it.
I gotta make this
There.
straighter.
Okay. All right, Steve, why don't you take a little brown and white and make us a little highlight there, and so this stands out a little better.
There you go.
What color did you use for your highlighter?
Just a little bit of brown, a little bit of blue, and some white.
Okay, that was Van Dyke brown, I assume.
Yep.
Okay, so
Now,
he's got it
so to
like
clean
half
this
on
up
there.
a little bit and straighten the bottom out, and to separate
So
it,
this is what I'm
we'll
doing.
use a little bit more of the magic
If you
white
can
and
see
make us
it,
a little water line
it's
underneath
light
it.
on the top and dark on the bottom.
Okay, remember how we loaded? We just cut.
And then, so that you don't end up with all one color coming down here as you go. And it creates a kind of fun effect. Oh, there it goes. There you go. There's a lot of paint on this. This is going to take a couple weeks to completely dry. Okay.
Through it. And Steve's got a little magic white. Has a
do
little
I like-
brown in it. There. This thin paint will flow off your knife.
Magic white.
As he said earlier, you push very hard. You really, really just
Magic white.
act like you're trying to cut a hole right through the canvas.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Okay, Steve, why don't you run a few bushes down that bank,
Okay.
just to clean up that nice straight edge. And I think you turned out a beautiful little painting here, just showing the answers to the questions.
Need more magic white.
There we go. Beautiful. That breaks up that long straight edge, makes it a little more pleasing to the eye. Now, with the clean point of the knife, we can just cut in a few little sticks and bushes. So, Steve, just take the point of the
Hey,
knife and
Jeremiah 98.
cut
Thank
some
you.
little sticks in the bushes. Okay,
That's
and use a
much
pretty
better.
firm pressure here, and just cut them right in.
Alright, I need to add bushes. Real quick. I'm gonna use this brush.
Okay, that's very good. Now, do you know what let's do?
What's that?
Let's add a little bush right here and show them how far it'll push everything back. Just
Yeah,
take
we're
one of
gonna
your
add
clean-
another layer on this side. But I'm gonna blend in here a little bit more. Because when you go to an island or something like this, you'll see the plants don't just like abruptly stop at the shore. They do kind of, some of them can pop up through the rocks and whatnot. So we gotta add more stuff down here. I'm gonna need some more green. Use this sap green. I'm gonna add sap green on one side. Sap green on one side and yellow ochre on the other, so that as I tap, it has kind of a shaded effect. Do it again a little bit. Try to finish up the corner here. Here we go. There. There. Nice. Try to blend in here a little bit because I've got some rogue strokes here. Alright.
Half-inch brushes and drop us in some dark color right there.
You would have pushed
Just a
them
small
together
little
and mixed
bush
them,
right here in
right?
the corner.
I know, it's things you
Always
learn from watching art
interesting to see
videos.
how you can add one more plane. There we go, just a little one.
Oh, we need a big brush.
And a little Prussian
Alright.
blue.
This is my biggest brush.
Van Dyke brown, sap green. There you go. Just let it go down at an angle a little bit.
I'm gonna attack it. Ready?
All right, beautiful. See? Now, let's show them real quick how to highlight those, and that'll give you one more chance to see how these things are highlighted. A little trunk in there with some Van Dyke brown.
Does he add another
And we
tree,
put
or
some
is it just we're
highlights
just
on
doing
it.
bushes? We're
Now,
just
when you're
doing
at home,
bushes
you can
over
use
here.
any color that you want to create all these beautiful little highlights.
Alright.
We're trying to use very bright colors here so they show up well on your screen. He's got a beautiful orange here. It's made from mixing a little cad yellow.
What's fun
A
about
little
doing
bit of
bushes
permanent
is
red
that they're,
together.
I mean, obviously the plants do have some kind of rhyme and reason to the way that they go, but in painting they can look kind of random, so
There, once again, layer these so you
you just
kind of
have to go with the direction
Look
that
how
you
much
know that the
distance
leaves
already
would
this
go.
is creating in the painting. It really pushes everything back. It adds another plane to the painting.
There you go. Stop moving. Okay.
Okay. There we go, a little sap green, a little yellow. Very nice. Okay, a few little sticks in there with the point of the knife.
Yeah.
And it's just a super way to show you how to add another plane into a painting. Okay,
I'm gonna pick it up.
good. Well, Steve, what do you think of this painting?
Well, I
Oh,
think it's
if
pretty
I can
good.
pick it up so I can be in the camera here
That's very nice. And
while I.
I hope that everyone has enjoyed watching you answer the questions and do a beautiful little painting here.
I obviously need more.
I'd like to close the show
More
and take
paint.
just a few minutes of your time, and I'd like to tell each
Well, we're
and
not
every
done
one
yet,
of you
Bob.
how much we appreciate you allowing us into your home.
Wait. I need more yellow ochre here. And then I'm gonna do kind of like a brick color on the left side here to vary up the colors of the leaves. Oh, I dropped it. It's okay. It's part of life. You don't have some magical studio with people zooming in and out as you paint. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I want more highlights or more lowlights though. Okay. I gotta mix my red color I want over here. Thanks, Salamander. I'm not going to use the big brush for this because it kind of makes me nuts. So I'm going to clean my 1-inch brush down here. Ooh, this is a much more pigment heavy color than I thought it would be. That's okay. I want to see what Steve did. Let's go back.
How much we appreciate. Okay.
Alright. I like what Steve did. I'm using really heavy dabs of paint on the canvas here, but that's alright. I kind of like doing it like that. That's why I love oil colors. 'Cause they're just, it's such a heavy paint. A lot of people don't like it because of that, but I enjoy it. Alright. Kind of want to do this a little bit here. Cool. Well, that's the end of Bob's show for this, you know, Q&A session that him and his son did. But I want to finish up here. I'm going to try to fix this so you guys can laugh at me, see if I screw it up or not. I don't like the way the reflection light looks in the bottom here because I added too much yellow ochre when I tried to make the reflection. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of white. And I gotta clean my brush first. Okay. My hands are really dirty and I don't even care. So in my plastic palette, I'm going to mix some actually liquin, which is is it liquin? Yeah, liquin is a medium. It speeds up your drying of your painting, which is not actually the reason why I'm going to use it. It's because I don't want to use more oil. I didn't go to art school, but I've read a lot of stuff that says you should start heavy and then end thin, and I might be wrong. Maybe I've got that backwards. I don't know. This is just for fun. If I could get it open. It's got a child safety lock. Apparently I'm a kid. Yeah, push down and twist. Jeez. Help! Oh my god. I can't get the mechanism out of this thing. Why? Oh, there it goes. Jesus. Tabasco Dan's being a good moderator and reminding me that I should be telling you guys to follow me. Usually I do. I play point and click adventure games. But I also like to do art, so. Alright, just a little, like a dime-sized bit of liquid here. And some titanium white. Like a pea-sized titanium white here. See, I've got, let it, I don't know if you can see it very well. Okay. I have like a little bit of that refuses to dissolve. There we go. Okay. This is not going how I want it to. That's okay. It's kind of creating a weird effect. Let's go from the other direction, try to pull the blue into here. Yeah, I usually start with big brushes and then with small brushes. That's why I had a little bit of a hard time because this whole entire show today, Bob is using these huge brushes and palette knives, and I think the smallest brush he used the whole time, it would really be the fan brush. Everything else is just gigantic. And when I went to the store, I don't know, it's like a personal preference thing. I look at the 2-inch brush, and I just kind of go, no, I don't want to do that. Big brushes are for washing, making putting your background in, and then it should be done. Hands are a mess. It's okay. Alright, we're gonna try to get this a little bit more blue in here. That's a little bit better. It's a little green. Water's green sometimes. Man, with a career like his, do you think he really needs to compensate anymore? Okay. Try to do some dry brushing here. It's a little bit better. I'm a little happier with that. Okay, I'm gonna do some pulling down. Pull across. There you go. That's what I wanted. I'm much happier with that now. Cool. Alright. Well, my hands are a mess. But this is the cool thing about a Bob Ross show, is like, it's only been, what, an hour, and I've already done a painting, and it's done. So, cool, great. Well, I have all day. I should probably talk to the camera, not to my computer. So I'm gonna get cleaned up and then come back in a little while. I have some great Korean coloring books that I'm gonna just point the camera at and color while I talk to people. So I'll be back in probably about 30 minutes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.